So hello everyone, and welcome to another conversation of the fourth cycle of conversations on corporeal architecture. And today it's my great honor to introduce you to Maria Eduarda Kopper. Maria Eduarda Alvares Kopper is a Brazilian architect and businesswoman in constant dedication to research in the various areas that make up her work as a practitioner. Master in Theory and Criticism of Architecture, specialist in sustainability, health and comfort in buildings from UT Delft, specialist in neuroscience applied to architecture from the IPOG, and Green Associate Member of the Green Building Council. Maria Duda, thank you so much. Muito obrigada for accepting this invitation.
Thank you. So I'll try to start to share my screen and you say if it's working. Do you hear me well?
Yes, we hear you perfectly.
Okay. So hello everyone, feels really good to be here. Thank you, Professor Maria. I'm very honored to be talking to your students. So let's start. I'll share some of my work with you today, but previously I'm gonna tell you about just a little about my background. So I'm an architect, I'm a practitioner. I run a business that designs residential buildings to the dwelling market in Brazil. My hometown is called Porto Alegre. It's in the very south of Brazil, close to Uruguay and Argentina. So when I was born, my father was a contractor. My grandfather was a contractor before him. My mom was a school teacher. So I was raised part-time in a school, part-time inside a construction site. So after a while, my father started to incorporate buildings of his own. His brother did the same. And today my brother and a cousin also have their own companies in the same field. So architecture was a logical consequence for this tradition, more than a job, it's a passion. And it's kind of a lifestyle, I like to say. So although we all run independent business, it's in our family, it's in our blood. So, but we don't see each other like competitors in the market. It's the complete opposite. I mean, we all run our own businesses, but we feel like a collaborative community and we try to complement and add to each other's work very peacefully. So, in fact, my business model follows this kind of collab method. Yeah, this is the one. So as an architect along the way, trying to find a place among all the architecture studios in my hometown, I tried to set up a business model in architecture in which I could serve as support for small and medium builders, like my families, like the ones I've known since I was born. So we know that by the size of their companies, they do not have an architect on the staff, so they can't afford hire one permanently. So what we do is we are that architect for them by the period of time that they actually need one. So we do all the monitoring of the work, making part of the process, really holding hands with the builders all the way through, from choosing the land stage, designing the building, until the post-occupancy support. That said, it means that each project that arrives to the firm to develop is done with the participation of a multidisciplinary actors focused on the market. This team is made up of independent and collaborative professionals. Depending on the demand, we have engineers from all different areas, agronomists, biologists, psychologists. We have publicists, sometimes lawyers, always realtors and brokers, and always specialists in the market research. I still want to bring a sociologist to join the team, but that person hasn't come up yet. And hopefully in the future, we're gonna have a neuroscientist collaborating with us too. So with family and non-family members, all these people come together to come up with ideas for a product that is really interesting and competitive for the market. The result is truly a community built around the one goal of making good, healthy places to live. So together we design in a collaborative, strategic, and eco-sustainable way, aware of the importance of our work for the environment, for the urban landscape, and human well-being. Today I'll show you how neuroscience and all kinds of social science are helping to improve the quality of what we deliver to real estate customers. So let's start with an overview of the evident contributions, and later looking at the real project, we'll see how this can also be translated into an architecture that is in fact, how do I say, a product to be sold on the market to house people. So number one is preparing the work scenario where the group will meet to deal with the projects. So I turn our entire workspace into a collective meeting room that has a window with a beautiful view. We have a preserved green area next door. So our meetings are always in the afternoon. So we take the advantage of the best thermal condition of the room with natural ventilation and fresh air from the preserved green area. We have a small interior garden with potted plants in the room that help, refresh the room, the air in the room. Next to the meeting table, we have a little buffet where we have coffee, tea, fresh water, fruit, nuts, and chocolates. And I try to keep it replenished every week. Our table is a square, so we have comfortable chairs to sit up to 8 people and extra space for those who like to move around during meetings. And we know that this is very important. We have bookshelves with books, magazines, artwork from local artists, material displays, things we can consult if we want. And we have a big canvas, lots of pencils. We do a lot of scribble on. So, and when everybody leaves, this is where I am now, and this is where I keep working. So all of this is not random design, but created to make people feel good, comfortable, creative, and engaged while doing our work. Number two, I would say that is better understanding people, better understanding the target audience, the persona for whom the product will be intended. This is the key to find the best location and then the best building format. Like, keep in mind that people and places are profoundly connected. Architecture isn't a matter of a single sculptured, beautiful element anymore, or a design made by single hands anymore. Its role is to be full integrated to human well-being, to the urban life, urban planning, and natural landscape. This is when you have to stop and look to the impact of the location, how the building site relates with the neighbors, the neighborhood, how it further relates to town, how well will the built piece fit into the streetscape to which it will be connected. Take the time to get there, sit, and observe. We do that all the time. You have to do it in a sunny day, in a cloudy day. You have to do it in a rainy day, a weekday, weekend day, morning, afternoon, night. Watch people, talk to people, get to know what are their likes and dislikes about that place. Get to know if do they need cars? Do they like to ride bikes? Is it a walkable neighbor? Get to know people, state smart questions, and get relevant answers. It is a crucial part of our job. We must keep in mind that we work for people, and as we're profoundly connected to the environment. We're part of the natural environment. We're connected to places. Once we internalize those answers, we will find a good way to move forward. So number 3, I'll say that we're mammals. And as such, we need habitats that help shape who we are, what we think, how we feel, what we do, and how we interact with other living creatures. That being said, we know that, yes?
I'm sorry to interrupting you, but are you sharing slides with us?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, but because we don't see them.
You don't? Oh, I'm
No.
sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just realized.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for that. I thought it was...
we were so focused on what you were telling us.
Yeah.
I think we could all imagine, because you were describing in such a wonderful way. But then I saw your eyes looking at something, and I realized that there was something that you should be seeing. But you know, you could have done it without the slides. It was great anyway.
I'm so sorry. Can you see it now?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Wait.
There it comes. Something is starting.
Okay. Let's go. I was in
Well, now it's frozen.
Wait, yeah, I was here. Can you see it?
Well, it says Duda has started screen sharing, but it's frozen. Now we can't hear you.
You cannot hear me?
Now I can hear you, but it's frozen. The image is frozen. Yeah.
The image is frozen. Can you see the slides that says recognize our common needs?
No.
You don't? Whoa, what's in here?
I will just pause the recording for a moment.
Again, okay.
Okay, so there we go. Finally, we can finally see do the slides, which already look beautiful. So please go ahead.
Okay, sorry for that. Number 3, we're mammals, and such as mammals, we need habitats, and habitats need help shape who we are, what we think, how we feel, and what we do, and how we interact with other living creatures. So that being said, we know that taking our biology as a starting point, we have a lot to discuss to help us think in terms of basic needs to be met in a residential project design. So the way we inhabit affects our health, our mood, how we learn, focus, and rest and behave. We need to breathe good quality air. We need to have contact with sunlight to regulate our circadian rhythm. And we need to nourish ourselves, exercise, relax, and have restful sleep. So here are very important clues to start the idea of a new residential building and elaborate something that is crucial. Apartments that openly accept changes, a responsible infrastructure, to respect and shelter diversity. That gives interior design a further opportunity to personalize the place corresponding to individuals' needs. So let's go to next. Okay, so let's take the example of this building. It's under construction, and this is our design. It's a 16 apartment residential building. Every unit has 3 bedrooms, open concept living room, integrated with dining and kitchen, and they have 2 parking space per apartment. The condominium offers a gourmet space that you can see here in the image, an indoor playground, because in the winter time, although there are a lot of green areas around the surroundings of the building sites, the winter is very cold and rainy where we live, so we need indoor playgrounds. We have a rooftop pool where the view is panoramic to the city, and there's also a gym and a yoga room, a delivery reception center, and a bicycle shared rack. The whole architecture and construction follows the certification booklets for environmental sustainability, health, and human well-being according to our local standards. So the apartments were designed to support healthy living habits, integrate the user with nature, ensuring good air quality and contact with natural light in all spaces. Non-toxic material make up the entire list of finishes. Energy efficiency was considered both in water and gas supply, as well as in electricity. So natural light is fundamental for human health and well-being. It allows our body to be oriented to the conditions of day, night, and seasons through an automatic physiological response to solar orientation. It also has a big effect on preventing depression and boosting good mood. So the project was oriented in order to allow the best use of sunlight for all occupants through windows with translucent glass in all rooms, including bathrooms. Ventilation is important for human comfort and productivity. Humidity, intensity, pressure, and flow variation can be controlled through the strategic placement of openings that capture external air. In the same way that the openings contribute to lighting, they allowed for natural cross-ventilation, guarantee the renewal and quality of the indoor air. All the windows have adjustable opening and closing and shading control. The swimming pool. Water is an essential element for life, and in the built environment, can relieve stress, promote health, and improve human performance. The building has a swimming pool located on the rooftop, where it has beautiful views to the town, natural sunlight, and we have to consider that what we see outside the building through the window, rooftop or balconies, is as important as what we see inside the building, because we experience this as a continuous space. I have indicated some scientific articles that are some good references for all I'm saying here. So now talking about vegetation, pre-existing plants and trees were studied and as far as possible maintained. Natural superficial permeability on the site is respected, being overcome with the use of green roofs over the parking floor. So vegetation, especially floral, is one of the most potent strategies to bring a direct experience with nature in the built environment. Living with plants reduces stress, contributes to immunity, increases comfort, performance, and human productivity. But to obtain these results, the presence of vegetation in the built environment must be abundant, connected with the local nature if possible. In this project, the landscaping respected the exclusive selection of well-adapted native species. Besides the front gardens and the rooftop green area, all the private living rooms get an outside green area that corresponds to 5% of the total unit plan, and this area will be vegetated with herbs and spices to be picked fresh at any time.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Well, the management of the construction works includes a rigorous waste management plan. So that promotes a drastic reduction in the generation of waste and the redestination of recyclable materials, in addition to the reverse logistics of all packagings. Team of workers on construction sites are encouraged to share private transport when it's not possible to come in public transports or bicycles. As I said, due to its location, the surroundings of the construction site offer employees easy access to public green areas and to local shops with a great variety of healthy food. This facility provides opportunities for sustainable and healthy habits, especially during breaks in the daily routine of the workers. And it's good for leisure and even just for a walk for builders and future inhabitants. The word sustainability reframed how we think about nature. We all know that we've been putting a huge effort toward new possibilities in terms of infrastructure, structures, systems, materials, and so on. Although we are still far from solving climate change challenges, there's a clear increasing of wider adoption of all the technology and new resources we already have. So I am very positive, and I believe that we're in the right direction. Mostly what is urgent now, and I think it's the purpose of why we're here, is to debate on how to create environment for emotional healthier people. A lot of the green buildings we already have don't bring necessarily what we need to feel healthy and happy in the built environment. So on the contrary, to me, those buildings sometimes seem very sterile and cold and even not human. I think all of you know some green build because Germany is far ahead in this matter, especially comparing to Brazil. But I started asking myself what should have been done differently in terms of designing. So it soon brought me a strong interest in biophilic design as a way to complementing the benefits of construction that is less environmentally aggressive. So what we find is that if the built environment provides sufficient opportunities for human nature interaction, it nurtures our innate connection to life. So studying about history, culture, and geographic aspects of the local site, we find the elements to create a framework that tracks to this recognition that is missing by incorporating natural patterns, plants, shapes that mimic nature, local artwork, water features, or framing natural views with windows, for example, and a variety of other options. We can achieve biophilia in space. And it fills the gap that makes green buildings good places to live and to feel happy. Research indicates that the experience of nature or nature-derived patterns can improve experience, mood, and happiness. More important, it gives the inhabitant the opportunity to engage in a more sustainable way of life because we feel stimulated by the environment. Nonetheless, we can't support a building industry without considering how its materials can be recovered or repurposed in the future. Our current methods of material consumption, extraction, and disposal are incompatible with nature. Our ecosystems aren't resilient enough or able to recreate what has been destroyed so far. What we're doing is a one-way ticket to an environmental calamity. So it is our duty to advocate for a building industry that stewards material from the cradle into buildings and into new buildings again. Naturally, reusable materials, regional resources, and encouraging circular economy must be part of our foundation. There is no place to second thoughts, and we have to invest in our collective future now. And this is something that architects can do. So according to International Well Building Institute, due to the complex and multi-tiered nature of the global material production supply chain, little is known about the tens of thousands of chemicals in circulation today. This lack of data obscures necessary information required to identify potential hazards to the environment and human health. So demand for material ingredient disclosure at the consumer level pushes the supply chain to transparency and supports innovation and green chemistry. Buildings and climate change are connected, unfortunately. And a lot of the discussion about it is very abstract still. The buildings are tangible and they are contributing to half of the emission of greenhouse gas pollution. That takes architects part of the problem, that makes architects part of the problem. And as part of the problem, we must be part of the solutions. So even if the building is perfectly oriented to catch the sunshine, really thick insulated walls, solar panels on the roof, producing energy, green walls, green roofs, the challenge remains. We still see this steady increase in global greenhouse gas pollution. So what we're doing isn't enough. We're getting to face the fact that we need projects that can be more than net zero. We need net positive buildings and more enriched environments to people. So I like to say that we need not less bad buildings to the environment, but good buildings to the environment, and not less bad buildings to people, but good buildings to people. You know, a technical solution is only part of the answer to transition our building industry. That requires a lot of investment and human ambition. So what I like to say is, however, none of this makes sense without preventive building maintenance. So any building, from the most modest to the most luxurious, old or new buildings, they all need preventive building maintenance. Our buildings don't last forever, no matter how efficient their architecture is. Leak, mold, and cracks. All buildings end up tearing down again. And in fact, the situation is so bad all over the world that there is an inconceivable quantity of waste being generated. And we are about to collapse if we don't take a chance to make it differently. As important as good project is the building use maintenance and preventive conservation manual. So this is also an excellent tool in the pursuit of excellence in the market. From the first traces in the project to the handing over of the keys, the step-by-step process to conserve the life cycle of the building must be recorded and documented for the administrator and for the steward of the building for future administration. Preparing and delivering this manual is something that us architects can do, and is a differential that demonstrates the commitment that we need to have with good architecture. So paraphrasing well standards, I like to say that, and adding some of my ideas, I like to say that we need a fundamental shift in the way we see and think about buildings. To go beyond green buildings, we have to create projects that are making a positive contribution to the world and to human well-being. So number one, I'd say that every building has to be a good place to live. Number two, every building has to generate its own energy. Number three, every building has to grow a portion of its own food. Number 4, every building has to process its own weight. And I forgot to say that in our projects, we always have areas for composting waste. Number 5, every building has to clean its own water. And number 6, which is the hardest one, every building has to sequester our own carbon. Is still the vast majority of people all over the world spend over average of 90% of their times inside the built environment. And I dare to say that a very small portion of these people live in green buildings, and an even smaller portion live in green and biophilic buildings. And people still tend to say that buildings are merely places. So considering the whole process from designing to construction stage to build piece to the stage where we live inside, it all matters. There is no merely places, as there is no neutral built environment. Further thinking about it, so I learned that what we do as architects and builders leave a trace. We leave a legacy to future generations, because if you think about it, when we die, our builds will stay here. So they're part of the urban space, and it's very important for us to be very aware of what we're doing. So it really hurts my feelings when I hear people say that real estate doesn't offer architecture, just buildings or construction. Really, I think that this is wrong. We're really hardworking here. As an architect, I refuse to agree with that. So I tend to advocate for more commitment on our part to deliver better quality products and silence this type of insult. So people aim for good places to live and call home. And this is our duty to deliver the best we can. So traditionally, our houses where we spend the most money on, right? No matter if it's rented or ours, we always invest in our homes, right? So for many years, it was probably merely place to live or a product to build for builders to sell, but it really evolved, and we evolved too. So what we do must be very thoughtfully designed and carefully constructed, using all the knowledge that we now have. When we engage people in our designs, it is really about creating place more than product on real estate. We say that healthy people respect the environment. And this is the idea we stumble upon during the whole designing process, and it comes to form everything we do, how we choose to live, work, play, and evolve. And in the next half century, we're gonna need an additional 2 billion homes to shelter people. Retrofit will play a very important role, but it won't be enough to house the increasing population. So it is in fact an incredible opportunity to completely redefine the way that we as architects design or build legacy on this planet. That is a big responsibility, but it's also wonderful. So what this talk today focused on really was basic conceptual reframing of how to think about the built environment design for a higher qualified dwelling market. So when developers start to realize how to sell this better than instead of just telling you about their little luxury finishing, they can sell you what is central for life, for human well-being, health, development, a healthy environment, and they can sell you a building that is at its core without waste of resources, materials, and energy, and to endlessly be reusable by healthy people. And this is it. So I gave my spiel. This is it. Sorry for the beginning, for not sharing the slides.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you, Duda, for this wonderful presentation. Maybe we can stop sharing the slides now so that so that we can see you more clearly. We are here in the room now in the university, and we have a big screen where the students can see you very well, and we have the owl. So we will also hear some questions from the students, and I noticed that they were so engaged all the time listening to your presentation, and so was I. And of course, I had the opportunity and the great honor of meeting you as a person this summer, which was already a meaningful connection. And I was also very happy to hear your presentation today, and also very happy to have you as a guest here, also for the whole cycles of the conversations, because I wanted you to share exactly your perspective and your position as an architect who works with real estate. And exactly to show that working with real estate and sustainability is not just about greenwashing and using images of nature and so on to convince people just to make investments, that there is much more profound thought behind it, that it also has a lot to do with ethics. So I am incredibly grateful for you sharing your passion and also your knowledge with us, and to make us understand also the complexity and all the interconnections between design, between the market, because of course we are also talking about the market and economics, and how all these factors affect our daily lives. And you gave this very important example that even if we are not buying a home, we are paying rent or something. So this is most of our biggest investment in life, to support our dwelling and also to create a sense of home. So, and this probably is what drives most of our existence. No, we all have bills to pay and all of these things, and mostly they go exactly to support our homes. So I think it's very important that you, in your presentation, that you show all the interconnections between these topics, and also for anybody who can watch this conversation, also to understand and on one side, how to make better informed decisions on investment, or also from the point of view of selecting what are the criteria also to make a decision on a place to rent or a place to build or buy something which is built. So there's more from the perspective of the dweller or of the client, which is a perspective that we as architects and interior designers need to be connected to if we really want to design from this empathic perspective. So I would like to ask you first, because you have, as you mentioned, already you come from a family with a tradition of building. So now you are probably the new generation, maybe the youngest of all who have been working with this. So, and you are really concerned because you almost have this kind of historical perspective since all these generations involved in building, and also now understanding no building lasts forever. We have all these challenges with climate change, and we really need to change how we think about the culture of building. So also with your colleagues, with your tribe, so to say, how do you approach this topic? Do you notice that there is a growing consensus on how we approach building, or what is your experience?
Absolutely, yes. I think it's our role to try and inform the builders, because as I work with young builders and old builders, right? So I have all the different generation point of views. So I think it's part of our role to inform the builders the importance of the environmentally construction. You know, we have to bring this knowledge within the design. You know, sometimes it's hard for them to understand, and I find it, I still find it hard to communicate the importance of it all. So in this sense, I still learn a lot with Maria da Piedade Ferreira, because I think that she communicates very well, you know, the importance of this interrelation. But I think that they understand the importance, and as long as it fits in the budget, right? They do it, you know, they follow our instructions, and they actually find the results by the testimony of the clients. You know, they feel better in this kind of environment. So and we have builders that have clients that are moving from one apartment to another from the same builder, because they know they recognize the quality of their product. So I think that this is kind of a result for our work. You know, I think we're doing something right, and I think they all get the idea. I don't think that, well, my realities work with small and medium builders. I don't know how it works. You know, it's just a cut of, you know, the market, but I think that they get the idea, and as I said, as long as it fits the budget, they're doing it.
Mm-hmm. So also something else I wanted to ask you, and this is you almost already were going in the direction of my question, because you mentioned that some of the people who lived there and then moved to another building wanted to live in a building with the same kind of characteristics. So this was already a sign that they were happy there, their needs were satisfied. So do you also work with post-occupancy evaluations? Do you make questionnaires? How do you make this assessment?
Yeah, we have a survey, and we try to apply this survey every 6 months to the clients, because we learn a lot from them. And because we're not there, they're just writing, and they're anonymous. They're very honest, and we learn a lot from it. So yeah, every 6 months we try. Of course, not everybody answers it, but the ones that does, they really help us improve our work. And yeah, I think it's very important.
Mm-hmm. What kind of questions do you ask on the survey?
Usually about how they feel. Well, I have some forms here I could share with you if you wanted to, but usually how they feel about the built environment. Is it high qualified? Do you see that it needs a lot of maintenance, or do you feel like it's clear how to use the you know, the built environment? This kind of things, you know, like all the technologies work well, like all the openings and all the shadings of the windows. You know, we have to measure also the quality of the systems too. So it's a broadly survey. So we go from, you know, what they feel about it to what they really, what the problems they really have to deal with, you know, all the systems and the construction facts.
Mm-hmm. And do you do improvements, for example, every few years when you're doing maintenance? Do you do improvements based on the surveys, or how do you work with the feedback?
Oh yeah, we do a lot, especially when we're elaborating the manuals, because every design we elaborate a manual from the beginning, you know, to really concentrate all the conceptual framings that we use to that building. Doing the manual, we do learn a lot from the lessons we learned from the last building. So yeah, we improve our work listening to these testimonials, and it's clear when from one manual to another, because I see that the manual is the history of the building. You know, it has everything is in there. So if you get one manual and compare to the next one, we always evolve, always.
And one more question before I give the word to our students to come here to the owl. I think I understood that your company mostly creates buildings from the beginning, like from scratch, and then builds them. Did you also have experience in refurbishing or adapting already existing buildings?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do you imagine this as a next step, or it's not something you're?
Because we get involved with the whole process, we cannot we cannot have, we don't have like too many designs going along at the same time. So we have 2 or 3 a year. So I don't think there's space in our studio to grow, but you know, who knows, future, I don't know. I haven't think of it yet. No, I haven't.
Yes. No, I was mostly curious because a lot of the strategies that you mentioned of how you approach the design problem, of course, can be applied if another architect of practice is working with refurbishment. So these are all the topics that we have to deal with. I was mostly curious if because we are dealing with a task about creating new buildings by using parts of leftovers of buildings. that's our task. Of course, we are doing it in a more conceptual way. We don't have much time to go to detail or anything, but basically your talk was really wonderful too, because it really connects with this topic. We are really dealing also with the topic of waste material with building, related to building also.
You know, so, when I was a kid, I remember my grandfather as a contractor. He was always worried about the amount of waste, and he started to you know, talk about the builders to try and not waste that much material. So he said that every material that you preserve, I'm gonna give it to you so you can bring home. So they were so much aware of it. So I remember that by the end of one building, he built a house. And you know, and it was such a like, that was really remarkable to my, you know, to all my learning in this field, because I thought, oh my God, we have to stop wasting that much material. You know, you cannot just throw away entire house because you're building one building. You know, it's too much waste.
Yes, we can't think like this anymore. Okay, so now I open the questions for our students. There's already one coming up. Just need a little time before she gets here to the hour.
So thank you very much. I have 2 questions mainly. So one is, who are the people who live in your buildings?
Middle classes, families, usually.
Okay, so families, not single householders.
You know, there one of the buildings we delivered last year had this peculiar fact that there was 18 apartments and 8 of them were inhabited by a single woman. But that was something very, very extraordinary. That it's not common, but usually families.
And the other question is, I just forgot it. Oh no, I'm maybe asking about it later. Yeah.
Was it in connection with the first question?
Yes.
Maybe you just need a little more time.
Yes.
So maybe the next question can come. You can stay there and ask it out.
Oh yeah, it was about reusing the buildings. So your buildings are very targeted to housing. But what if in like 100 years, we don't need that much housing anymore, but I don't know, spaces for learning, or I don't know, are more important, offices. Is there a possibility to change the buildings, or isn't it?
There's always this possibility, but you know, the pandemic changed some conceptual reframes we have, framing we have for the apartment plan. So now we always try to to have a place to work, have a place to study, because we have families, our clients are families, and in the pandemic, they were all together inside the same apartment. So we saw that, oh my God, we need places to have, like, everyone needs some privacy to study or to work. So I think that our apartments now, they deliver this kind of spaces, but in the future, yeah, there's one of my grandfather's building was an apartment building, and today it's a hotel. It was all refurnished, and it's a hotel today. Well, it can happen, yeah.
Okay, I was asking myself, because I see it a lot of times in my hometown, there's a huge gap between what is common in the street view right now and what should be, or what a building should be look like nowadays to ensure our health and make a good, healthy environment. Do you have a solution for the street view that it fits, but also envelops and is much more better for the health when there is such a huge gap?
Wow. I think that a multidisciplinary team is key, to discuss a design. We as architects, we don't have all the answers. So we need, as I said, we need people with us thinking of this design of this building. So we have urban planners that work with us. We have historicists, geographists. So all these people, we put all these people together, to try and find some convergency points, and, maybe I don't have the answer for your questions, but what I would say that we don't have all the answers as architects. We need a multidisciplinary team to have it, because I don't see architecture as a single design from a single person anymore. It has to be a team.
So were you ever in that point where you build a house or design a building where the gap was really huge afterwards, so it doesn't fit quite well in the street view, but was way much better? Where do you put your team? What is more important?
I don't think I get your question. I'm sorry. I just you mean how do I, Maria, can you help us here? I don't get it. Sorry.
If there's a huge gap between your design and what should be in that environment,
between the ideal, the expectation, and what actually happens.
What is existing, what do you, or if you have to choose one, like staying in the old buildings and have a nice street view so that it cooperates with the other building, or to develop the standard.
Okay, I get it. Where I live in my hometown, we have different districts, and there are some districts that all the architecture is preserved. All the streetscape is very old, and they're preserved. You cannot touch these places. You can sometimes, you just can maintain these buildings, but it's not allowed to build new things in there. So, and there are other districts where my buildings are, that you still have field, and you still have area to construct from scratch. Sometimes there's a house in the place, but it's allowed to build a building there. And then what we do is that we try different formats and see what fits better in the streetscape. To the street, so this is what we do, but it depends on the district in my hometown, because there are places like closest to downtown, it's not allowed to you know, to build new buildings, because it's all old architecture. I think you have it a lot in Europe, you know, it's like you have it there.
Okay, thank you. To your one design with the pool on top of it, are the pool available for everyone, or how?
Yes, it's all common areas. Yes, all common areas.
Okay, because sometimes I feel like the high standards for well-being is connected to having a lot of money and have the access to water, to high standards. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I get your point. Okay, our buildings are purposed to middle classes. So AAA architecture, what we call here, like very luxurious architecture, it's far behind, more expensive than what we do. I never done a AAA design. We work for middle classes.
I think that's really nice that you take the opportunity to make homes for also middle class, so they have access to it. And yeah, also connected to the theme of money and moral, you said, or you mentioned that updating buildings to make the own ecosystem within a building, save water, those updating systems cost a lot of money. Is there a solution on the way, or do you have any solutions yet that might work?
We have you have to keep an eye on circular economy, because we need to build sustainable. You need to be very conscious about of where are you buying your systems. It has to be closer to the building site. I mean, I cannot buy something from Germany, you know. I can import a system from Germany because it's not sustainable. It's very expensive, and you know, the transportation, the logistics, it pollutes a lot. It's just too far away. So we work with what we have here, what we have available here. So we have solar panels, we have water treatment. This is available here. It is all low cost. It's okay to have it. It fits the budget for a middle class building apartment. But I know that there are lots of other options, but we just cannot adopt them because it would be very expensive, and it wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't fit the standards for a sustainable construction, because I would have to buy from a place far away from the construction site. So, you know, I have to count on what we have here, what we produce here. And there are a lot of new technology coming to Brazil, and it's becoming more and more and more affordable.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. These are very good questions. Do you have another question? I think you have another question.
Yeah, I just thought about something that just comes into my mind about overstimulation. I just popped up that because of social media and everything, we're overstimulated, and those happy hormones doesn't get produced so much. This is also a fear that this happens with nature when we like consume it all day. I mean, right now we see it as a benefit if our houses were more green and more plants. Is there a chance that we also get overstimulated by nature and it doesn't have the same effect as now?
Wow, I don't know. We have to ask neuroscientists. I don't know.
We had a neuroscientist here with us, but he's not here anymore.
Well, you're gonna have Gillespie next week. Yes. It's Victoria, right? Ask him that. I wanna hear that answer. I wanna know that.
We don't know. I asked a similar question to Michael Arbib, to neuroscientist who contributed to one of the previous cycles, And he also didn't have an answer yet. So I think we will all need some time and maybe do a few brain scans to find out what has been going on with us. Yeah. Any more questions?
I think that's it.
No. And from the rest of the colleagues? No? Sure? Okay. So from the audience, I don't know if there would be a question. We already lost a few people who couldn't stay any longer. I don't know if there would be any. No, I also don't think so. Okay, so we finished for now. Maria Duda, this was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your time and your work with us. And I think it's really so important that you could show to our students that architecture and business and ethics can go together. And I could not think about someone more qualified to show that, and also to show wonderful representation of a woman in architecture building and concerned about all these issues and putting them to practice, not just talk. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria. Really my pleasure. I'm really honored to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you also. We feel so together. Very nice. Okay, so maybe you come next week. Maybe we see us in the audience.
I will. I really want to listen to Victorio. He's wonderful. Yes.
Wonderful. And we are so lucky that he will be here with us. We are very, very grateful.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. See you.
Take care. See you. Bye-bye.